morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we've got a new promo pack to talk about, which has been revealed for the Pokemon trading card game, and it's got a bunch of cool stuff, including Flamigo EX. That is not incidentally the only thing that's gone and been shown. There are other things that have gone and been shown, but let's face it, let's start with Flamigo. As always, I have done the translations myself, but as always, I have checked with a lovely Antoine Boulet to make sure I've not gone and done anything particularly silly. So we've got an EX here, colourless Pokemon, weak to lightning, resistant to fighting. That is, of course, saying it is a flying Pokemon. That's how you do flying Pokemon in the TCG. They're colourless, weak to lightning, resistant to fighting. And you've got 200 HP, and for 2 energy, you do 30 damage. And if this Pokemon and the defending Pokemon have the same amount of energy attached, you do an extra 100 damage. 130 for 2 energy. And here's the thing, right? On the one hand, yeah, 130 for 2 energy is pretty good, honestly. And it's colourless, so you can use any energy acceleration you like. But also, one of the obvious ones here is double turbo, but that will reduce it by 20, which is a little bit awkward. And it's a colourless Pokemon, so you're never hitting for weakness, which is a problem. And your opponent can play around this. Now, when I say your opponent can play around it, that doesn't mean they can actually always play around it. Sometimes they will be able to, sometimes they won't be able to. Because if they've just got a 2 energy attacker, well, they're not always going to have the luxury of just putting a 3rd energy on there. Similarly, if they're a 3 energy attacker, you can just put a 3rd energy on, but then of course you end up at 3 energy 130, which, I don't know, that does not feel as good, quite frankly. So look, I like this, I do like this, but the problem you run into is, it can be played around, and you kind of got to probably muck around with double turbo, and it's just one of those that, it's really fun, but there's just so many potential downsides here, which kind of bum me out a little bit. Sorry about that. And we do have a second attack here, 4 energy, 230 to itself. It's actually Brave Bird, and this makes me really happy, because I actually have a Flamigo in the game. And it's one of my main Pokemon, it's one of the ones I went through on my first run through, it's one of the ones I've used in the DLC, etc., and it has Brave Bird, and my go-to flying attack is my Flamigo with Brave Bird. But not for 4 energy! No, mate. Not for 4 energy. That's a big problem here as far as I'm concerned. It's too expensive. Simple as that. I like the first attack, but it can be played around. I like the second attack, but it's too expensive. And also, 200 is super annoying, because it's kind of almost enough. Like, the average Pokemon V has 220. This will get weaker Pokemon EXs, but it won't get most basic EXs. You'll be just a little bit short. And then, well, round and round we go. But one of the things we need to remember about this, it is a basic Pokemon that attacks for colourless energy, which gives it a massive, massive advantage over so many others. And there is a very good chance that we see this played in the future, not because it's some kind of phenomenal, unbeatable card, but because it attacks for colourless energy and does decent damage. And that's basically it. I'm not going to be out here claiming this is some phenomenal, that's not a word, phenomenal, unstoppable card. I'm saying this is fine, but I'm saying the fact that it's a colourless basic Pokemon that attacks for colourless energy helps massively, and for that reason I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. If this wasn't basic, if this needed specific coloured energy, I would probably quite actively dislike it, but actually there is a bit of potential here. It's colourless and basic. There we go. But as we tend to see here, there is a new supporter card as well. We've got time. And this might take a bit of time to explain. So what we got here is you put a Pokemon from your hand face down in front of you and tell your opponent its name. They guess the HP of that Pokemon and then you reveal it. If your opponent guessed right, they draw 4 cards. If they guessed wrong, you draw 4 cards. This is not going to work very much. 99% of the time against a player who is experienced playing the game, this card is going to read, your opponent draws 4 cards. Because, like, somebody like me, I cast the Pokemon TCG, I play the Pokemon TCG, I know a lot about the Pokemon TCG. So most of the time, like, if I'm playing against you, I'm going to know what your deck generally is. And if you name a Pokemon from your deck, I'm going to know what that Pokemon's HP is. Because when you build your deck, you should know what that Pokemon's HP is because you are constantly building your deck to hit those numbers. Maybe it's a weird tech that your opponent isn't expecting. Maybe your opponent makes a mistake or is new to the game or can't quite remember the basic of an evolving, or the HP of an evolving basic. There are chances here, but this is not going to work very much. I would love to be wrong, because this is a really fun card. It's a really fun card. And it's different, and it's unique, and it's awesome, and I love it. But I love it because it's fun and unique and awesome. I don't actually think it's a legitimate playable card. Supporter cards do not let you draw 4 without some kind of catch. Do you really want to give your opponent a straight draw 4? Because I personally don't. Honestly, I really don't. It is cool though, because like this invokes some older cards that we've seen before. So it's it's kind of like a quiz card. So Blaine's Quiz Show is the most recent one you might remember here. You put up a Pokemon from your hand face down in front of you, and you name an attack, and your opponent has to tell you the name of that Pokemon. And then if they're right, they get 4. If they're wrong, you draw 4. It didn't work very well for Blaine's Quiz, although funnily enough did get banned at Worlds because it was too awkward, which made me laugh. And it's not going to work very well here. I'm sorry. It's like a 2-Wossy card. This is not a good card. I want it to be a good card. I think the design of it's really fun. This is not a good card. No one is going to play this. Don't play this. It's a trap. Sorry. But hey, it's alright, we got a new Quagsire as well. I'm pretty sure it's a new Quagsire. I've gone and searched on the card search on Pokemon-card.com, the Japanese site, and regular Quagsire, there just isn't one. So I'm pretty sure this is a new Quagsire. And for what it's worth, there's a new Wooper as well. And, just as a side note, I really appreciate that they've gone and done that thing like they generally do, where they've used the same artist to do both of these cards, because now the artwork matches, and I'm delighted. Yeah, we haven't had a water-type Wooper for as long back, basically in the standard format, which is how far back the card search goes on Pokemon-card.com without changing the parameters. We haven't had a colourless Wooper in that time. So it's the first colourless Wooper and the first Quagsire we've had in a while, and I've not actually translated these yet, so let's see if we can do it live. So Wooper, we got 60 HP, single energy, 10 damage, or single energy, find a basic water energy in your trash, choose up to 3 basic water energy in your trash, show them to your opponent and shuffle them into your deck. So it recovers 3 basic water energy from your discard pile. In Japanese, it literally reads trash. They don't say discard pile, they say trash. So when you read Japanese cards, it literally says from your trash, choose 3 basic water energy, show them to your opponent, shuffle them into your deck. It's why sometimes in videos I say trash, not discard pile, because that's what they say in Japan. And then we've got Quagsire, 120 HP, single water energy, 30 damage, or water double colourless. And you discard the top 3 cards of your deck, trash the top 3 cards of your deck, and you deal 80 damage for each energy you find there. And it is energy, not basic energy. Literally just 8 energy. Any energy will do. So, I mean, look. Sometimes this will do 240 for free energy, and that's actually really good. The problem here is it only does that if you've got free energy on top of your deck, and you might, but there's no guarantee that you actually will. So, yeah. I mean, look, you can do that thing. We've seen this in Kyogre builds of Lost Box, where they get their deck down to like 0 cards in hand, and then they use Energy Recycler to basically just stack their deck full of energy so they're guaranteed to hit. As a fun side note, Energy Recycler came out in Battle Styles, so we'll be rotating before we get this card. So maybe we get a reprint or a similar kind of card, or you just use Super Rod to get free energy back. If you can basically run your deck out of energy and then put a bunch of energy back, then yes, this will do decent damage for free energy, which even then is still a bit too much energy, to be frank. But, I mean, look, this is awkward. This has the potential to occasionally be a lot of damage in a deck. It's just, it's another one of those, it's going to be too awkward to actually get it rolling. It will work sometimes. It absolutely will work sometimes. But is it going to work often enough to actually make it worth playing? I'm saying no. Let's give it 3 Wassies, which, let's face it, is overly generous. I like it. I like the design. It's kind of fun. But I don't think anyone is seriously saying this is a great card, which is going to see a huge amount of play. Sorry about that. Now, there are a couple of other cards that have been revealed. Usually, what they do here is alternate art reprints. That is what we've seen in these promo packs for a while now. They give us alternate art reprints of some cards in the set. So you generally get, one Pokemon EX, which here we've got your Flamigo. One new supporter card or trainer of some description, which we've got here. 1 or 2 other new cards, which we have here. And then they tend to give us some alternate art reprints. And by the fact that I've been saying that, but I've not shown you them yet, that should tell you what you need to know. What we've actually got here are straight reprints of Klefki, Nest Ball, and Switch with a stamp. I don't like this. Honestly, I think this is rubbish. I am not a fan of this decision at all. I did not make this decision, shockingly. I was not involved in this decision, shockingly. And if I was, I'd have been sat there in the room being like, nah, mate, no, that's rubbish. Don't do that. Not a fan. Really not a fan. Look, I know they've deliberately chosen playable cards and they put a stamp on them to make them different, and that's fine, right? I love the alternate arts we usually get in these gym promo packs. This is a big change to gym promo packs, and not in a good way. I like that we got a new EX. I like that we've got a new supporter card of a character that hasn't had one. I like that we've got a 1/1 line of a card done by the same artist, and the art matches, and these are Pokemon that haven't seen any love for a little while. But straight reprints, even super playable reprints, no, not a fan. Right, there we go. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Are you a fan of this? What do you think? Is this the kind of thing you like seeing, or does this make you sad? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely William Shaw, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.